What you call a broken steering box. The sector shaft broke off where the pitman arm meets the sector shaft. So as you can see from this pitman arm, it still has part of the shaft in it. And that was really fun trying to get off the trail with no steering. So that's why you see all the ratchet straps holding everything up there. Order business is to take the steering box off. It has a couple of bolts in it, and so I've already removed those. And so that skid's coming off. And then, second order of business was to take the steering brace off. This loosened up very easily, and then loosened it up on the frame to make sure it wasn't in the way. So the next order of business was to take the hoses off, and you can see I've got them disconnected there and hanging down, so that they can drain into my catch basin. The order of business is to take the sway lock off because the third bolt for the steering box is behind the sway lock arm. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Both sides of the sway lock had to be disconnected so that the sway lock could droop down and access to the bolt could be had. There's the picture of it drooping down. Alright, so here's a shot of the box hanging down now that it's disconnected, and you can see where the coupler's holding on. I've got it just about out. It's using a 13mm socket on it. It's not coming loose yet, and you can see it's almost completely out, so I guess I have to take it all the way out. You can see where the steering linkage is held on to the frame. I'm using a 10mm wrench here to take the 3 pinch bolts off. Now that the pinch bolts are done, I got to undo one last bolt. It's on the steering shaft itself to get it to come out. I'm going to use a 13mm socket wrench with an extender to get in there. I use my pry bar here to pry the shaft completely out. So this is looking up from the front of the vehicle. And of course the hoses are always an important thing on the power steering, so I have to disconnect this hose right here because the PSC comes with a different hose. Steering shaft is out of the vehicle. You can see a little bit better what's going on. It's got this little piece right here, right there, has to be drilled out because this is going on a TJ without a body lift. So that's why it needs to be shortened a little bit. This is the part that goes up closer to the firewall, and this is the part that goes down to the steering box. This is where those little pinch bolts were that we were talking about that had to be taken off. Plastic piece drilled out, and I'm supposed to smash this together by about 2 inches. So I've created a reference point so I'll know if I'm getting close or not. So I managed to beat it in with the hammer almost to 2 inches. It can go 2 inches, but put some lubricant on it so that if I need to adjust it some, it won't be so hard. Make sure the clock spring was set properly. So I turned the wheel all the way to the right as many times as I could, very, very gently, until I felt a little bit of resistance. I don't want to go past too much resistance because I've been told that can make your airbag go off. So then after getting it to that point, I turned it to the left very, very gently until I felt a little bit of resistance on the left. Then that was about 7 turns. So what I wanted to do was go back to the middle, so I turned it back to the right 3 turns so that hopefully the clock spring is set properly now. You never want to take your steering wheel and just do it round and round indiscriminately. because you could set your airbag off. See here that I've got the high pressure line attached to where it goes off. This is looking from the back of the unit. It goes off to the right. Your high pressure line right here, and this is your low pressure line. Now on my vehicle, my low pressure line fits into that receptacle, but if your line didn't fit, then you would need to put this elbow that comes with the PSC, you'd need to put that on that line so that it would be able to fit. But here that there's a bolt that comes out, that is to set the preload, so you don't need to worry about doing anything with that because that is done at the factory. So don't mess with that nut and you should be good. Here are my hydraulic lines. Whenever I get lots and lots of money, I'm going to add hydraulic steering, so these will remain capped for now. This, I just used a 3/4 inch wrench and tightened it till it felt snug. I don't have any torque guidelines for this, so just had to wing it. This is one way to do it by yourself. See, there's a little bit of space between the end of the steering shaft and the box. You don't want it to go flush because it'll hit the seal. It probably won't let you go flush, but just so you know it's on right, it doesn't have to go flush right there. Task is to get the hoses in properly. This is the stock hose. It actually fits into this steering box, so I didn't have to change the elbow. But if you notice, I don't know if you can see it, there is a spot right there that needs to be cut out because the hose is going to impede the steering box going on its mount. And there's a shot from the top where we had to cut out the plastic piece of the fan shroud to get the hose in there. Put the skid back on.